lot of people like what the Falcons did with a limited number of picks, but to criticize fairly and to look at everything from all angles, the addition of a player by subtraction of a first-round pick next year, is the price too high? Colin Cowherd says it's absolute nonsense what Terry Fontenot and what the Falcons were thinking.
Listen to what Les Snead just did. So they traded with the Falcons. They get their second-round pick, which is pick 46, and they get next year's Falcons 1.
Wow. And that will be a top 15 pick. Holy shnikes. I don't understand that.
I can't wrap my mind around.
You just got Atlanta's first-round pick for James Pierce. Again, I feel like Cleveland took Jacksonville to the cleaners, and I feel like the Rams took Atlanta to the cleaners. Mm-hmm. Jesus. In a bad draft for the fifth best edge rusher.
Now, the last few comments, he doesn't know what he's talking about. It wasn't a bad draft for edge rushers, and I don't know if James Pierce was fifth. So both of those things, in my opinion, are untrue. Now, conversation about giving up what you gave up to get back into the first round. You did get a third-round pick, so it's kind of a combo thing. You gave up your second-round pick, but you get a third-round pick, which was Xavier Worthy, who could be a starter.
Xavier Watts.
I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. Xavier Worthy, what I'm thinking about. Xavier Watts, who could be a starter, which he should be as a third-round pick. But was it too much? And is that the reason why, when we talked to D. Orlando Ledbetter coming up in about 10 minutes, why they got not an A or B, he gave them a C.
C minus. Yeah, it's too much. It's always too much when you give up a first-round pick until that guy gets on the football field and shows you that he's a first-round material. Until that point, it's too much. And I don't know what goes through their mind up in Flowery Branch and with Terry Fontenot, but his inability to move back at any point and garner more picks and collect some more picks to move around blows my mind. It's like it's not an option for him. It doesn't make any sense. You sat at 15 and got a hell of a football player in Jalon Walker, and then you would have been at sitting at number 46, I believe it is. Mm-hmm. And the guys around that spot are pretty good football players from what we've looked at. The kid from Boston College, Donovan
Ezaraku,
really good defensive end up there. He had a handful of sacks this year. You had JT
Tuamaloa.
That's right, from Ohio State.
Mendoza.
That's him. Will Johnson, the cornerback from Michigan, was another position in need. All these guys went. Nick Scorton from A&M.
Yep.
I mean, all of them right around that spot. If you just sit pat and let it come to you, or maybe just move up a spot or two and give up a 6th or 7th round pick. But man,
but what if James Pierce Jr.
That's it. That's the
better
question.
than all of those guys?
That's the question. And the answer better be he's better than all those guys.
Now that
better be the answer.
Here's my question that I'll have for D-Led as well. Was this a Falcons pick or was this a Terry Fontenot pick? That's to say, this was exacerbated by the pressure of the Falcons to win right now, coupled with the fact that the sack numbers have been below paltry, and he can't worry about the future if he has no future. If they miss the playoffs, and that was another thing when he said Colin Cowherd said that the Rams would be picking 13. If the Rams have the 13th pick, which should be the Falcons pick, that means they had a worse season this year than they did last year, because at 8-9, that got you to 15. If you're picking 13, you're looking at a 6 or 7 win season.
Total disaster if that happens. And I think the GM's fired.
Right. So is that a Terry Fontenot pick? Look, I need this guy to go and get some sacks right now, and he can get us some sacks.
You missed the postseason again, and you mortgage the future? I mean, what are you doing?
I think all bets are off. Everybody's up for, potentially being gone.
Holy shnikes.
Look at next year's mock draft. I think there's one team without a first-round pick.
Who would that be?
What is that?
That's us.
Oh.
It's the Atlanta Falcons.
Darn it.
So I could be off base there. I think
it's a good problem to have.
I don't think it is, Coach.
My only thing with that is I take with a grain of salt Colin Cowherd's breakdown of where the draft is. I know we can go find a montage of the horrible takes he's had when it comes to evaluating players. And we've all had them. That's what happens when you're in this business and you talk 3-4 hours a day. You're going to have some horrible takes.
Wow.
But I take with a grain of salt him saying the 5th best edge rusher and we got fleeced. I heard the same fleecing conversation when they talked about Julio Jones. Oh, the Falcons gave up way too much. Guess what?
Reach.
We got a Hall of Famer who helped take us to an NFC championship game and a Super Bowl.
And that's how I rationalize this. The Falcons, yeah, they gave up a first-round pick. You always want a first-round pick. But you got 2 first-round picks this year, and you got what you needed and what you wanted.
Right.
The Rams didn't have a first-round pick, so next year they'll have 2 first-round picks, and they'll probably be using one for a quarterback, as Matthew Stafford will be a year older, and it'll be time to start looking with a bunch of quarterbacks. So this year was an edge rusher draft. Next year is going to be a quarterback draft, you would think.
Which we don't need.
And
hopefully.
we don't need a quarterback. So that's how I rationalize it, although I would still like a first-round pick. If James Pierce Jr. is getting double-digit sacks or 8.5, 9 sacks along with Jalon Walker on the other side, yeah, you got your first-round pick next year right now.
Yeah, you think about this team. The team has actually gotten younger over the last couple of years, which is good because you have draft choices that are in places to make plays. When I start thinking about what you potentially could need a year from now, I think you now have to start addressing the tackle position again on the offensive line because this will be the last year for Caleb and Gary under contract. Jake Matthews, although you did some stuff with his contract, is not getting any younger. So I think tackle starts to become a priority. Defensive tackle still becomes a priority. Yeah. And corner. But outside of that, you're not a very needy team if guys pan out the way that you think they should.